Hey everyone, welcome to the TheGigRig Show. I'm Dan.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joe.
Today we're going to be discussing the very important question when you need a QuarterMaster. Now we've done shows on the QuarterMaster before, I know, but this is a question that keeps coming up. People have asked us, at what point do I need it? I've got X amount of pedals. Do I need one now? It's fair to say that the QuarterMaster, it's a beloved product. It's been around for far out. I want to say it's got to be 15 years.
Well, as long as I've been here, and
it might even be longer. What we've got here on the back of the QuarterMaster, you've got sends and returns. Okay, and what happens is you plug your pedal, the send comes out of here into the input of your pedal.
I'll tell you what, actually.
What you'll need is one effects pedal.
Out of the send here, like this, and that plugs into the input of the pedal like this. Then out of the output of the pedal, and then that plugs into the return. Okay? So now this pedal can be wherever it likes on the board. It can even be underneath the board, and we turn on the pedal here. When I first started doing this, it was to get away from having your pedals just chained in series, right? It was to be able to completely take the pedal out of the loop. Because what happens when you, depending on the pedals, when you chain these pedals in series in one line, just one into each other, even in bypass, they can have an effect on the pedals before. Yeah, so we'll get into that today, but the QuarterMaster has loads of other really great things about it, not just about tone saving.
Yeah.
Let's get into it then. Let's have a look at, I want to talk about touring and about doing loads of gigs and about how, as a guitar player, you have a responsibility for your pedalboard not to suck. You do. This is really important stuff. This is really important stuff. Look.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So the first picture I'm going to show you, this is Robben Ford's board.
The Ford board.
The Ford board. You know, you've got Robben's, the gain stage Robben was using is the throwback overdrive boost, which he loved. So the reason Robben loves the QuarterMaster is that if there's ever an issue with it, he just takes whatever pedal is got an issue with out of the loop.
Yeah.
And it just makes it...
No dramas.
No dramas. Okay, image number 2. This was one of the highlights of my professional career. This is David Gilmour, and if you look at the bottom left-hand side of this picture, you will see not one, not two, but 3 QuarterMasters in his studio. What's really cool about this, in this picture, David's in his studio, and the QuarterMasters are controlling effects that he's got on the table and in drawers and that sort of stuff. In this situation, what the QuarterMaster is doing is giving him super easy access to the things in the studio. Like all the pedals are there and they're on, but he's got no big chain is running through. The only, you know, it's like, I wonder what my old mistress is sounding like today, and he'll just turn it on, not unaffected by everything else.
If you've got loads and loads of pedals on a rack, on shelves or whatever, and you're like, right, I want to try this out, you're in the creative moment and you spend this time plugging in and out when you're not actually creating.
Right, let's go to number 3. So I was contacted by Steve Lukather's guitar tech, and I met up with him in NAMM last year. Such a great guy. He wanted to put some QuarterMasters on Steve's board. Oh no, sorry. At that time he had done it, and they'd had a QMX 4 and some QMX 2s and QMX 6. And this is the board that they settled on. The QuarterMaster doesn't give you presets as such. What it can do, these little push buttons here, if I've got the push buttons pushed in and I turn this one on, when I turn this one on, this one will turn off. So we call that flip-flop mode. And the way that Steve runs his board is that he will have a signal chain in one loop. So it might be an overdrive and a delay and a boost or something in one loop. So when he turns that on, that's the sound. the beautiful thing about that, yes, it might have 3 pedals in here, but they're all on all the time. That's the sound. If something goes wrong, he's out.
See ya.
Right?
Yep.
Then Jerry will come out and sort it out. It's just such a cool way to do it. It's like, that's my core tone. Might have a boost on one side of it, and then, the tuner output or whatever, but I'll have a dedicated signal path just in one loop. And it might be, and Steve actually got a couple of dedicated signal paths, so that'll be his standard rock tone. This will be his big solo tone, 3 different pedals to create that. And he doesn't have to turn 3 pedals off and then 3 pedals on. He hits one foot switch. And you can do that with the QuarterMaster because you can have those separate signal paths in each loop. I love that.
Yeah,
so cool. So cool. Awesome. Do we have any questions thus far?
We've got one from Kevin the Just. Hi guys, if I get thumps in the signal when switching on my QMX, does it mean there's a problem somewhere in the chain?
So there's a bunch of different reasons that can be. We've actually, the latest version of the QMX, we've actually addressed that, haven't we? Yeah.
So what's interesting about, so this is the truest of true bypass, which means that it's the output of, the input of the guitar in here and then the output and then nothing in between. If what you have in the loop has what we call a DC offset, so the output capacitor might be a little bit funky and you might get residual DC, then ground will look different. Ground will look like it has a voltage on it. And when you go back to true bypass, sometimes you'll hear that a bit of a click or a pop, which is that voltage dropping back down to 0, which is what happens in here. So oftentimes it's an issue with the pedal. But the other thing that's really interesting that can cause that is if you've got a pedal in here that is digital, that has no analog drive-through, and the latency that you get between the digital signal and the analog signal, depending on where you are in the cycle for the signal path, if you've hit a big chord and you're up a volt, and then you switch this in, then the latency that you've got with that digital signal, and then to get back to the analog signal, you can get what's perceived as a pop or some sort of a gap while it catches up.
Also, gain pedals flipping the phase is a common one.
Phase, exactly that.
You're up in voltage and then you turn it off and you jump to the other side of the swing and you hear a pop that way as well. So
the good news is we have addressed this in the QuarterMaster. Do we have power supply here?
We must have a power supply
I
somewhere.
can hook you up. 2 secs.
Hook us up, baby. So we have addressed this.
Hold the line.
You guys.
I'm looking at the other artist that we've got written down, struggling for puns.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Rosanna.
let's have a look at Jeff Beck's pedalboard. Now, God bless him, rest in peace. And so this is Jeff's board, and you'll see 2 loopy 2s. These are QMX 2s. It's exactly the same thing. And Jeff used these because he had some vintage pedals on his board. So he's got that old...
ring mod.
The ring mod, that really old...
I'm not sure. Is it the Maestro one?
Mod.
Yeah, the original ring mod.
The original Maestro
the
ring
first commercially available ring mod.
He was using the QuarterMaster to bypass those old effects because they really suck the life out of your signal. John Frusciante and his QuarterMaster. It's just a big flex, isn't it? This is just an excuse for a massive flex. John Frusciante is the guitar player from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. This is how John uses his QuarterMaster.
His take on QuarterMasters is really interesting.
So I loved this when I saw it. The thing we're talking about before with Jeff Beck, with the bypass of those vintage things, and Jeff hated it. John Frusciante loves it. He loves having his old CE1 and, crap in the signal path. He loves the degradation. The problem is, at least 2 of those devices break every night. And if everything's in a chain, he doesn't know which one's broken, and his tech comes out.
He's like the inverse because he uses everything as though the QuarterMaster isn't there.
That's right.
Then something breaks and the QuarterMaster saves the day.
Something breaks, his tech runs out, turns the loop off. So if you see John Frusciante's pedal board when he's playing, it looks like this. All of the loops are on, and he's kicking the pedals on individually, and overdrives and flanges and chorus and delays. Let's say his CE1 breaks, got no sound restored. But that just means, okay, I'll take that out of the signal path and I'll fix it later because the show must go on. And this is what I was talking about before. If you're a guitar player and you are out gigging, this stuff is really important because one dodgy patch cable, one foot switch breaking, the amount of time it's going to take you, to troubleshoot it live. And I don't know about you guys, but when I'm on stage, that part of my brain shuts down.
Yeah.
Oh, your intellect goes down by 2/3.
Completely. And if you've got to go into troubleshooting mode when you're on stage with everyone looking at you going, boo. Number 6, we've got a video here.
Yeah.
And I love this. Cool. So let's show this. So here's a video that we'll just quickly play you.
I came up with this riff. So when they got back, I played them this idea of Paranoid.
There's our copyright strike. And the way they described their QuarterMaster boards, they were grab and go boards for Tony.
And they did multiple rigs as well, across with like different houses and studios and stuff.
This is a picture of my mate Simon McBride, who is Deep Purple's new guitar player. This is Simon at the Budokan in Japan with his QuarterMaster. And he said, just wanted to send you this photo because it's so cool. And again, it's the Robben Ford thing. I've got a simple bunch of pedals that I need to get, for this sound, but I'm touring with Deep Purple. This stuff can't go wrong. So put them in a QuarterMaster, switch them with the QuarterMaster. Job's a good one.